Welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. Part 2 of using triads to improvise in the key of A minor. So part 1 was put up a couple days ago. If you haven't seen that, it'd be a great idea to go ahead and work through that and then get into this part 2. What I'm about to show you will stand on its own. If you didn't see part 1, hopefully still makes sense. But probably make more sense and really get you farther if you set it on top of part 1. Okay, it's really similar. In part 1 there were 3 neck diagrams that showed you triads that went with each one of the chords in this 3-chord progression. The progression is D minor, is held for 2 measures. Okay, and so in part 1 we had a neck diagram with 3 separate groupings of notes circled on there in different parts of the neck. But each one of those groupings were the notes that make up the basic chord triad, it's called, for each one of those chords. So the D, for example, that was the first one, and then okay, and then we took that one from down here and moved it up there, because that's, you know, why not? It's kind of a freebie. I already worked it out down here. Now I'm just imagining the 12th fret being the same as the nut down here. Okay, so same thing today. And then for the other 2 chords, the G and the A minor, we also had a neck diagram that did the same thing. Okay, so we don't have to run through all that right now and kind of wear you out before we get to the good stuff today. So, you know, you can keep going with this one now, or you could go back and check that one out and then come back and hit part 2. Either way. The other thing in part 1 was I put up a pattern for an A minor pentatonic, which works good in this key, in this progression, because you could mix that in there. So we were doing some, you know, something to kind of get us walking around a little bit more, right? But the main idea was to, the meat and potatoes of it was to really work on those triads and get those under your fingers and kind of get into a routine of that. Same thing today, except in part 1, all the triads were groupings took place on these 3 strings, the highest 3, the G, B, and E. Today there's 3 neck diagrams with circled groupings for the triad shapes, just like part 1, except they take place on the next 3 strings. So the D, D, G, and B strings. Okay. Here's an example. So let's put up the D minor one. I always like to play the chord or something, like when you're if you're not using your backing track and you're just working through this and practicing and learning it, you know, make that chord statement, get that in your ear, and then when you play the triad, that's that middle one on there. See? Here's the first one. The one furthest down. See? So take a minute to make sure that you're on track with that's what we're doing, that you're understanding that diagram, right? Especially if you haven't been, you know, watching videos on this channel. There you go. Use whatever fingers you want. That's how we do it here. And that's that bringing this one up to here, up past the 12th fret again, okay? As far as then for the A, or for the G and the A minor chords, there's a neck diagram for each one of those, doing the same thing, right? So you got 3 groupings on each diagram that you can use. Then you got that minor pentatonic that you can work in there. And today, here's the thing that's really, I think, gonna, to me, really starts to tie this stuff together. I didn't put it in part 1. I mentioned it, that we were gonna do something else in part 2, but I held back on it on purpose because of it, you know, you really do want to put in the time on those triads. But once you get that down, you're going to be itching real fast for something else to link all that together with. And here it is. It's called the natural minor scale. We're not going to, you know, do a theoretical analysis of that, but here it is. Here's what it sounds like too. Hopefully that wasn't too fast, but you get stop the diagram there and practice it yourself at your own speed. Okay, again, the more, you know, play that chord every once in a while. Now, all 3 of these chords will have good harmony with that scale. See? So again, we're not going to break all that down theoretically, but what I'm telling you will work. So here's kind of a little routine with this. I know I'm showing you a lot of stuff here today, you know, fairly quickly, but hopefully, you know, I'll help you map out, you know, a routine for practicing all this here in just a minute. So here's what it's gonna kind of look like when you do all the things that I just talked about at your own speed. Okay, D minor, play the chord, then do some of the triads. Then go to your next chord, right? Don't worry about putting the backing track on right at first and trying to keep up with it. And that's stressful, right? Go at your own speed. So we did some stuff on D minor. Take all the time you need. There's one from part 1. Okay, then our 3rd chord, A minor. Same thing. Okay. Now, that took us a good minute to go through with the talking and everything. Do that progression one time. Okay, that's fine. In fact, that's a good thing, because you're really giving yourself time for all this stuff to really kind of soak in. Hopefully that makes sense. So here's that routine, and here I'll do it a little bit more, not up to speed, but you know, not quite as lingering. Well, let me do that again. that was pretty much just doing it with triads. Now I'm going to add a little bit of that natural minor scale in there, and hopefully you can really see how you can really start to connect this stuff and feel like you're always going somewhere, that you're not just compartmentalizing each chord. Okay, now that's still just kind of doing it all yourself at one time. The chord, the triads, the scale. All right, here's where you really can start having some fun. I'll give you the backing track at the end of this video too. There's the D. Yeah, that's our routine. Especially the part where you do your own thing at your own pace. D minor, play the chord, play a few triads, hunt them down. Next chord, G, okay. All right. Next chord. Okay. Now there I kind of combined one from these three strings and from part one, right? So we got, but in part one, okay. So you notice little things like that yourself. Yeah, go for it. That's a good place to leave it, I think. And then work up to, playing along with that backing track. And remember this one thing too. I mentioned this yesterday. Just real quick before we wrap up. Don't stress if you're still doing a triad for, G when it moves to the A minor. It'll work out. It'll just have more tension. Sometimes be better, more interesting. So don't kind of, keep that bike moving. Don't give up and go, shoot, I gotta start my backing track over and keep up better. Nah, be real patient with yourself on that. Here's a really quick example of that. See, yes, I hung out on that. That scale to fill in. Okay. So, you're doing great. Yeah, leave some comments. Let me know how you're doing. And enjoy your musical growth, and thank you for letting us be part of that. Okay, till next time.